Okay, so um, this is Katty Richardson here, and I have a guest on the show. No. My partner in crime. I have Charity West here, and she and I have been talking for the last year about how to live from love and all kinds of topics related to that. And so we're here together today to talk a little bit about Lester Levinson and his thinking and Michael Singer and his thinking. Just run through a little overview for the both of us, just to kind of pull that all up again, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a guided session that I did with Charity a couple of weeks ago with some pretty impressive results. So really exciting. Um, and then we'll just talk a little bit more about what we think what we think we have here.
Excellent.
Sound good?
Yes.
All right. So, so Lester Levinson, if you've listened to any of my other recordings, you already have an idea. But I think for the purposes of today, um, Lester was very much about he was very much about love, um, and loving everything, squaring everything with love. And I still feel like I'm still trying to figure out what exactly that means for me, at least. And how do you do that? So he talks a lot about love as really wanting for the other person what they want for themselves, truly unconditional love, um, which doesn't necessarily mean action. So if they want your house, that doesn't mean that you have to give them your house, but it's more of a feeling sense. You could want that for them. Um,
I like
and
that.
and want that maybe they find a house just like your house somewhere else. I don't know. But
And I also see it's like a letting go of what you want for them.
mm-hmm, 100%. Right? So really,
The removal of the should
right?
or the could.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even I'll just tell a quick little story. So I don't like groups, right? Um, because I always feel like everybody's jockeying for kind of position, and it tends to bring out kind of my senses like the worst in people, because it's in crowds, and there's even research around this. Um, like if there's a lot of people and somebody gets hurt, nobody takes care of them because everybody thinks somebody else is going to do it,
Hmm.
right? Like it kind of diminishes any personal responsibility. And so I've always just like not cared to be, like group tours and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And it's fascinating that since listening to this part of Lester saying you just want for them what they want for yourself, or what they want for themselves. What's fascinating is I've gone on 2 group tours since then with that idea in mind of like, okay, I'm going to want these people to get whatever it is that they want. And ironically, I end up getting what I want when I want for them what they want, where it's always felt very either or. Like we went on the tour in the slot canyons
Uh-huh.
in Arizona,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to be on my own. Like I didn't want to be viewing the slot canyons, from the middle of a crowd of people. And then like you can't take a picture because there's always somebody in the way. And I just let go of that, which is what Lester would say is
Hmm.
just like you can know what you want, but then you release it.
Hmm.
And then I was looking at all the people in this group and I'm like, I want them to all get to see this slot canyon how they want to see it. And so we go down into the canyon and there's the group before us and there's our group and we end up in this first area, which was really beautiful. So already we're all looking around. And then the first group leaves and they're gone for a while. And then our group leaves and I don't even know how it happened. But Jim and I ended up out in front of the group the entire time. We basically were alone. Every once in a while the guide would catch up with us and explain something, point something out. Oops, thank you. I need to remember to turn this off. If you have a ringer on, turn yours off as well. Um, but but we ended up out in front of everybody. And so the guide would come up. She took a couple of pictures. It was delightful. And then I went on a whale watching trip with my friend Beth just the other day. And I had the same thought. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to just want for all of these people whatever it is that they want for themselves. And so when it came to, we were out in the ocean and at the place we were going to watch the whales, like the whole front end, the bow of the boat, which was where I was completely crowded. But there was this box. And I just stepped up on the box and there was a rail I could hold on to. So I had over 180 degrees view, because I had the one side of the boat where I could see even further, and then I could see over everybody's head.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever the whales were, spouting or breaching or flapping their tail, it's like I got to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's so awesome. So I have an N of two.
Uh-huh.
But both times it's like, all right, I'm not gonna get all like, oh, I want to be able to see.
Yeah.
And especially now I'm even shorter than I used to be, and I'm not gonna get to. So anyway, so coming back to Lester, so he's very much like you just want to really wish for everybody goodwill. And I do say that does open up my heart. Like I'm not focused on me. Um, I'm focused on everybody else who's there and really wanting good things for them. Um, and I am coming to the clarity, which Lester I think would agree with, is that because he would say that there is no me, right? Um, that there's just experiencing, right? So I would consider him as an enlightened being because it fits all the Buddhist stuff around that. Um, and I am noticing that whenever I am most at peace, it's when there isn't a sense of me involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's becoming very clear that, oh, like, and I think that's so much of letting go because all of the holding on is holding on to a me,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's always about me,
Yeah.
right?
I would say I had a really great experience. Was it last night? 2 nights ago? Um, we were sitting on the couch watching TV, and I've really had to learn how to like let go of my wants with being in a family.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
one of like my major drivers in how I want to interact with them all is meeting them where they are at
Yeah.
versus trying to force them into some other idea of what I think our family time should
Where
be like
you're at.
or what their fun should look like, right? Just meeting them where they're at. And we're sitting on the couch and we are watching what many would probably consider is not age appropriate television for a 13-year-old girl. And
Yeah.
she is cracking up. And her brother is sitting next to her and he is having the best time. And their dad is sitting next to them and he's having the best time. And I wasn't even watching the TV. I was just sitting there watching them.
Yeah.
And just all the noise
Yeah.
went away.
Yeah.
And it just got so quiet.
You're talking about in your head, the noise in
Yeah.
your head. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was just present.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of mirrored what happened with my friend group a while back where we were all at dinner together. I forget, we were celebrating something, and I was just watching everybody else, and I was just out there and not inside me.
Yeah.
And I was really focused on everyone else and not in a controlling way,
Yeah.
but just experiencing them, experiencing the world.
Yeah.
And it just got so quiet again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I love that.
it was wonderful because prior to those two experiences, my moments of that very present quietness have always been very solitary experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they've happened so like recently to each other, like I'd say within the last year, um, I'm hopeful, that without trying to be attached to it,
Right.
that there's more and more of those.
Well, and that's part of, living from love, right? I mean, it makes sense to me
Mm-hmm.
that it's so much around not being in the me, not being in
Mm-hmm.
that constricted space. I'm
Mm-hmm.
angry, I need,
Mm-hmm.
da, 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 that it really is. around this other out there focus on an experiencing focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the trick, and I think this is part of what we'll talk about, is how when you get stuck in Meville, I like that, Meville.
Mm-hmm.
When you get stuck in Meville, how do you, I think this process is really what Michael is talking about, what Lester is talking about, is letting go of everything in Meville. And I do know when I've been mad, when I've been angry with Jim, and I'm like, I need to let go. And the thought comes, well, the only way to let go of this is to let go of myself,
Mm-hmm.
to let go of everything in me, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm all tightened up in that place, I'm like, I'm not, no, right? That would be somehow bad. Then I would get hurt. Then there's all the stories of the future and how if
Mm-hmm.
I were to just let go of it, like this will never stop, as if I have any control,
Mm-hmm.
right? As if being a me and being angry about it changes anything. It doesn't, right? So, yeah. So,
Which, like, I have even found in my own relationship with Nathan that, like, I mean, our most connective moments, our greatest growth has really come out of me just stepping back and being like, I do not get to have any say over what Nathan does.
yeah,
And if I just let him be, like, that's like, who am I to tell him how to be?
right. And if you just want for him what he wants for himself.
Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
okay, like, yeah, like, that's, oh my God, the audacity.
Right, right, right.
That I know the right way for him to be at all
Oh,
times.
but I do know. Right, right. Yeah, so true.
Especially because, like, I mean, how little we actually know ourselves, and then to think of how well you know yourself versus how well you know anyone else, there is a chasm between you and someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then so few of us actually even know ourselves.
Right,
We've been telling ourselves stories for so long
right, right,
that it's so challenging to get to the truth of why we do what we do.
right. Well, and that comes back. So if I come back to really both Lester and Michael, right? They would both say that all those things are just stories, who you are, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. That's all stuff you've either been taught or all stuff that you told yourself. Um, that, yeah, we create. I mean, that's such a great example of how we create all of our suffering. And that's so much of what really both Lester and Michael are about, although I think Lester talks about it more clearly, is really letting go of those stories. And if you can let go of those stories of the past or the stories of the future and really just be present with here and what is, um, then your suffering drops away. And then ironically, kind of like I'm going on these group tours, and then both of the tours work out for me just exactly how I would want them, even better, actually, than if I was trying to get what I wanted. Um, and so just letting things happen. It's fascinating how
Well,
things seem to work out when you don't try to manhandle it.
I think also too, like, whether or not it quote unquote works out, like, you were no longer attached
Yeah.
to the experience. You were no longer attached to your predetermined what you wanted
Yeah.
outcome.
My imagined future.
Right. And so regardless of what goes down, like, you're just there to
Right.
enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm.
there's people who are just like bound and determined to remember their life or tell the stories of how their life was. Like, you meet those people who are like, nothing ever works out for me, or
Right.
everything, this always happens to me every time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very comfortable for them to control by this storytelling.
Well, and it's so ironic because then they walk into the situation with that assumption, and then
It's predetermined.
unknowingly they actually create it.
And I also think, like, whether it's always like that or not, like, that's what they remember, because that's what serves their image
Their
of that's
story.
what serves their story.
Yeah, the cognitive bias of if it happens differently, I'm less likely to remember it because it doesn't fit my mental model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So with Lester, we've got love and really this unconditional love, which years ago I would have said, like in a relationship with a significant other, unconditional love is not a good thing, because if you're being beaten, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he would separate, he would say you could still love that person and you could let go of them and let go
Mm-hmm.
of them wanting to be a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and let go of them, let them go out of your life, right? That
And how much better for you
right,
to not be holding on to all of this
right, all
hate,
of the
all of,
trauma and
yeah,
fault,
yeah.
and yeah, so that shaped my idea, and that could be a whole conversation in and of itself of what does that mean. So he talks a lot about love. That's really where he started. And really how he got to this place of, he talked about just being more and more energized and excited and full of love by letting go. He actually talks about, he would pick a girl that he wanted to be with, a woman that he wanted to be with, and then he would pick a man that he would least want to have her, and then he would work until he could be happy for both of them enjoying one another. Even though he wanted that girl and he hated that guy and didn't want to have that guy, like he would basically want them to have what they wanted. And this was all a mental exercise, but him doing that, and just until, like, basically letting go of everything that got in the way of being able to be joyful about that imaginary union, that
Mm-hmm.
was that was ultimately what broke him through. um, which I have not tried that. But I think that's where he really discovered the letting go. Um, and he talks about everything. He says, get everything that you want by letting go. So you could know your preference. I want to have $1 million in my bank account. You can know that preference, but any grasping and clinging, you need to let go of it. I want my husband to be a certain way. You can still have that preference, but any grasping and clinging and
Mm-hmm.
controlling around having him be that way,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you need to release.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So that's Lester in a nutshell. Oh, and just positive thinking too. Focusing on the positive rather than focusing on the negative, um, which is part of loving in my mind. And then Michael Singer, to me, he's very different because Lester never talks about pain, and Michael actually focuses a lot on pain. And the couple of chapters that I had you read, I think, are
Mm-hmm.
focused a lot there. And Michael Singer, this is kind of cool. My sense of Michael Singer is he would really say that we all have affect phobia, which is we're all afraid of our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, what I take Michael Singer as saying is you will become free when you are no longer afraid to feel anything in the vast variety of emotions that a human being can feel.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
Having gone through my own journey of just being terrified
Mm-hmm.
of my feelings
Yeah.
and the freedom on the other side of that I have gotten to experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It
What
is
anything can be there.
it is remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a practice, and we'll talk about that more later on about the
Mm-hmm.
practice to maintain that that okayness with all feelings.
Right.
That yeah, there's definitely for me anyways. There's definitely a practice that goes with that because when I am fearful of my feelings, that's when stuff gets
Mm-hmm.
worse
Mm-hmm.
and worse and
Mm-hmm.
worse and worse.
Well, and ironically, a lot of people can have anxiety, and it's not about not having anxiety. It's about not being afraid of the anxiety. So
Mm-hmm.
the other night, I had some anxiety come up. It was like 3 in the morning. And I'm like, all right, a chance to practice, which is a good attitude to have. And I'm like, bring it on. Let's have a panic attack, you know? And what was interesting was I was really able to be aware of the part of me that was witnessing the anxiety and noticing like the little tightness in my chest. And and
I'm sorry, I have to pause this. Hope has a bush that has berries on it
oh, pyropanthea.
that may not be healthy for her to chew
Okay,
on.
let's pause.
And I
All right, we're back. Um, so I was talking about having anxiety, which wasn't a big anxiety, but you know, I would imagine most people could relate to having like that 3 a.m. and like something, oh, I got to do this, or what about that, or and then having the reaction to, oh shit, like now I'm never going to get back to sleep. And what was cool was I was able to step back from it and just say, all right, this feeling is here. It's an opportunity to do what Michael is talking about, which is really welcome it. And I like so I did do this welcoming, like, let's go ahead, let's break through, let's make this even bigger, which is of course the opposite of most of our reactions in that moment. And what was super cool was it went away and I went right back to sleep. Like I wasn't awake for
Mhm.
any length of time, which proves his point, right? Because he would say if you can just be open and allowing, it will move through and it won't stay. Um, and that was at least my experience in that moment.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean, that was my life after therapy. Every single anxiety moment was like, awesome.
yeah,
I get to practice.
yeah,
I get to notice how my body is reacting. Okay, what is the root cause of this? Take care of myself and just go on with my life.
yeah.
Um, it's been 6 years
Mm-hmm.
since I stopped practicing in a formal setting.
Yeah.
And when a lot collides at once, it gets really hard to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think having
Does it get hard to
constant,
do it or does it get hard to remember to do it?
it gets, I think both.
Yeah.
I think both are true. Because I'll know I need to do it, and I
Yeah.
have so much resistance.
Yeah, kind of like me talking about, no, I want to hold on to this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
And
very
like
sticky.
2 weeks ago when I came over here and you're like, let's do this. And my entire body was like, no,
Yeah. I remember
which
you saying that. That
which
means
means
I
I absolutely need to do this. The fact that my entire body is like, run away. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to do this. Um, but again, I'm going to talk about practice again. I think practice is key. And I think it's the same thing. Like we were talking about attachment and meditation in Buddhism. They taught you meditate so you don't have attachments. And that is a practice. And
right.
it's just, and I think the idea of a practice it doesn't have to be regimented.
Right.
It just has to be something that you somehow remember to come back to
Right.
with frequency. And I think like having us doing these things, it's like a buddy system that is
Mm-hmm.
helpful.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I think in some ways, like that time over the last few months when I've like not reached out to you at all, I think that was me subconsciously running from dealing with it.
Yeah.
It's like if I talk to Katty,
I'll have to face
I'm
it.
gonna have to deal with it.
Right. Right.
And I just was not, I was more inclined to make it worse
Right.
because I was just so, there's still a lot of, I don't know, trauma, fear. Um,
Automatic unconscious avoidance habit.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
even though we've done so much to untangle all of that,
Yeah.
I think when a lot gets heaped on,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, okay, I see it. Because I really did think I was like, okay, I have the tools now. I don't need to come to therapy anymore. Like I know the process. I know what to do
Mm-hmm.
when I'm, having the physical response to tap into the emotional response, to take care of the side of me that needs caring so that I can then release
Yeah.
the emotional response and then, the physical response goes away as well. But having someone to help you remember the steps, I think is really crucial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's part of my my recording myself
Mm-hmm.
is I go back and I listen to those recordings at different times. I
Mm-hmm.
listen to different ones at different times as a memory bank and as a self. Then I guide myself on, on June 15th, and then someday later I essentially can guide myself again
Mm-hmm.
with what I had to say on June 15th. So it's a great way to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's all practicing is, right? It's just remembering.
mhm.
But they say that a memory is it's just a replaying of the last time you remembered that thing. It's not a replaying of the original memory.
That makes sense.
So every time you're getting a copy of 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 a copy.
Which hence the recording makes it not that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Presumably that's going to be the same. Um,
But so I was saying that though, because like a practice is, it's just a chance to like tap
right.
into that memory and like see how true it is.
Yeah.
How, or was it distorted?
Well, and that's where what I love about both Lester and Michael, and this is the piece that um, challenges, challenges the traditional psychotherapeutic um, beliefs, right? Is is that you have to understand, you have to have some kind of insight, you have to work, and you have to work through all the pieces. And maybe that kind of leads us into talking about you and
Mm-hmm.
a couple of weeks ago, because so I went to Santa Clara 25 years ago, and there was not a single class on letting it go. There was not a single class that talked about like what Michael Singer talked about, which is, I mean, he talks a lot about pain, which I was saying, and he talks about like catch that pain, like the moment the trigger happens, the moment it comes up in your body, get good at catching that and opening to it instead of closing, which is what we tend to do. Oh God, there's that feeling. Right. And we want to tend to shut down, and then we start ruminating or whatever, or we drink, or we do whatever we want to do to get away from that feeling. And Michael is very much like catch that initial pinch and open that, and it'll go through. Lester would be a little bit different. But so it makes me wonder, like the EMDR view of trauma is okay, so chances are, like let's say my father beat me, and now I'm with my husband, and he moves in a way that reminds me of my father. So now that trauma trigger comes up, right? EMDR would say, oh, we need to bring that present. And then this is my way of thinking about EMDR is we bring it present. We've built you skills so that you can tolerate that. We bring it present, and we titrate exposure. So we slowly move through the unfolding of that experience to really allow where the body constricted around it when my dad was beating me, right? That my thought is all memories need to have, from an EMDR standpoint, an experience has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what happens in trauma is you get stuck somewhere between the beginning and the middle, right? And you close down and you disassociate, you go to the ceiling, um you go numb, whatever, right? And you get stuck, like that memory gets stuck. The rest of the memory doesn't get processed. The fact that you survived doesn't get processed. The fact that that wasn't about you, that wasn't your fault, doesn't get processed, right? So you get very stuck. And so EMDR would say that by titrated exposure, right, tolerable exposure, you allow that memory to complete, and you allow yourself to integrate in all of those other positive things, which is I did support, I did survive, and this wasn't my fault. This was my dad being out of control because he drank, or whatever the story is. And you allow yourself to have a new view of yourself, where before it might be I'm broken and that's why my dad is beating me, and now it's more of a recognition, well, there's something broken over on his side, and I'm okay as I am. So that's the EMDR, and kind of in general in therapy, the idea is that you have to really work it and go through this process. And
Okay, so I want to talk about that.
well, so let me finish. So Michael Singer would say, my husband moves the way he moves, and I have that initial wah, right? That's my trauma response. And he would say, and this is this whole question of could you, but he would say if you can open to that, it would move through and you could release it without all the rest of that business. And that's a big question mark in my mind. It's like, so
So
to you.
that's what I want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
is because I I did all the EMDR, not all of it, right? But I did EMDR for
Mm-hmm.
years with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually getting really emotional remembering how wonderful it was
Mm-hmm. To walk through it.
to walk through it.
Yeah.
To be like, oh my God, I was doing marvelous things.
Mm-hmm.
I was incredible. It was never me.
Mm-hmm.
And to just remember what it felt like to have that feeling of like, oh, I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was incredible. It was such and it was so incredible that I would want that for every single human on this planet.
To not, but what if Michael is right, and you allow, you can release it the way he is, and you get the same outcome without, I mean, there's a part of EMDR that can be really hard for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. And it was really hard.
Mhm.
It was so hard. Like, I wanted to drive off a bridge. I mean, I didn't actually want to drive off a bridge, but I really thought to myself, it would just be easier to drive off a bridge than to keep doing this work.
Yeah.
Like, it was really, really hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm really glad that we're having this conversation right now because I'm remembering like how incredible it felt to honor myself and my experience because it was such a huge missing piece of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I was raised in a household that very much was the let it go
Mm-hmm.
way of being.
Yeah.
And I was doing spiritual work for years and I was reading self-help books for years and I watched my husband do the same thing. And I got really good at letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, practicing non-attachment to my emotions, which really to me, because I didn't have any tools and I didn't know any better, was just ignore them, shove them down, keep doing what you've always been doing.
Mm-hmm. Run away.
But also and there's the story that continues to run in your mind. And I don't think Michael Singer is addressing that story.
Mm-hmm.
The story that is running, that is, I am not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I am responsible.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just do the right thing, if I can just say the right thing, then everybody around me will be happy.
Well, so I think Michael Singer would say that that voice in your head that is saying I'm enough,
It wasn't
it
it wasn't a like it wasn't a
felt
voice.
sent.
It was just a unconscious standard.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
so unconscious to it
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think I really don't. I really don't think it was possible
Mm-hmm.
with for me personally without your guidance and what we did together.
Yeah.
And I
Like
think
somehow to get to the root, so you even know that there's a root there.
I was so
Yeah.
unconscious to all of it.
Yeah.
I was so good at telling myself this story. I was so good at running from all of my pain.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was blind to the
Yeah.
pain in my heart that Michael Singer talks about.
Yeah. Yeah, so you wouldn't even know what to let go of, right? What
No,
to open to
no.
because it's so buried.
I would read Michael Singer's book and be like, dude, I'm nailing this thing.
Right.
I'm knocking it out of the park right now. I'm
Right.
doing all these
Right.
things.
Right. Yeah.
And yet, obviously, there was a part of me that was like, something's missing.
Right.
Something's missing. And I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to know. I know I had a similar experience where I had a belief that if you got to know me, you wouldn't like me, which is really common for um, people who were neglected as children,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I had really very specific rejection in that I was a chatterbox as a kid, and my mom didn't like all the chatter, so I learned to be quiet around her. And my dad didn't like my sadness, so he would shame me, um, or he would say, I'll give you something to cry about, right? So he'd threaten punishment or shame me. Here come the waterworks, that kind of thing. And so, on some level, there's real truth to they didn't like me the way I was naturally in the world, right? And so, as a child, I soaked that up, and I had no idea that that was there until I was doing some group work towards the end of Santa Clara. I was probably 38, um, 38, 39 years old. And I did some group work, and I really, as best as I knew how, showed up and was authentic and shared what I was feeling, that kind of thing, and got tremendous positive feedback from people who had no reason. Like the whole point of the week was to be honest with one another.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason these people are blowing smoke,
Mm-hmm.
right? When
Mm-hmm.
when they were saying that they really experienced me in this beautiful way, and that it actually felt like somebody was pulling a something out of my mind, like I actually felt something in my brain. It was
Mm-hmm.
weird. Um, but that I didn't even realize I held that belief until it
Mm-hmm.
was gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's kind of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and so it does. If your self is buried, if your pain is buried, then it can become really hard it's really amorphous. What do I release? I don't even know. I just have this vague depressive feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And how many of us know who we are?
right, right, right.
Again, I'm a sample set of one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. But
but
that might,
actually I would say I'm more than a sample set of one because I do have people in my life, in my community, in my family. And they are so blind
yeah,
to their truth.
right,
They have so many judgments about themselves.
yeah.
Marvelous, wonderful people, just trying to do their best every day,
Mm-hmm.
showing up, being the best version of themselves that they can possibly do that day.
Yeah,
It's what everybody's doing.
yeah. But carrying around a bunch of beliefs that are so harmful,
That are so harmful.
right? So that if they haven't seen through their beliefs,
And so, how do you open your heart and release these beliefs about yourself
mm-hmm.
when you don't even know they're there?
Right, right. Or you think they're right. Right.
Yeah. Or they
You're
serve you,
right.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
serves me. This, like
Mm-hmm.
me and my codependency really, really served me. I had so much of my sense of who I was and my
Right.
value in this world was around how much bullshit and
Yeah.
abuse I could tolerate
Yeah.
and take on.
Yeah.
Someone has to love this person. I'm
Right.
strong enough to be that someone.
Right. I'm gonna hold the space. I'm gonna be there for them. Yeah.
Versus what?
Like a martyr.
Total martyrdom, which
Right.
totally my dad is such a rescuer, like absolutely modeled that behavior
Mm-hmm.
my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I loved the work we did to go back to Michael Singer and the benefits of it. I absolutely love the work that we did 2 weeks ago. One of the things that we touched on at the very beginning, but we didn't actually talk about, was how it was so successful that I didn't even remember
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
bad it was when I got here. I showed up here just,
So let's go into that, right?
yeah,
2 weeks ago.
yeah. it was I remember messaging you that I hated my life
Mm-hmm.
and I was so miserable. And I came over here and you asked me if I would try this process with you. And like I said, every single part of me was like, no. Um, but then I did it and
Because then you knew that no was not in your,
yeah,
right?
not in my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And do we talk about the structure the three times, how we came back to it and came back to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can go through. So what we did
Yeah.
2 weeks ago that you barely remember, right? Is we got a little bit of clarity around there was kind of a cloud of things, and we got some clarity around what was going on for you. What was the story that you were telling yourself? Um, which really had to do with because there was this dread and anxiety and trapped feeling around your job that my sense was didn't fit with the job itself, right? It felt like
It's
it
disproportionate.
yeah, it felt like there was something going on that had something to do with you and suffering that you were creating, right? So we got that clear and you linked it back to, and this is part of you can do that because of the work that you've already done before, but you were really clear that this linked back to the need to perform, particularly for your father,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so it's like I am trapped here, I can't walk away, I can't do I can't do a just good enough job. That's never good enough, right? I need
Mm-hmm.
to be exceptional. So there was a trapped sense around I have to stay and I have to perform. And that slipped into we were looking at wants because that's part of Lester Levinson is what are you wanting, and that slipped into some of your history in your family of origin and really feeling unsupported, and so in the present moment wanting your parents to want to support you. So we got some clarity around what was going on and how are you feeling. Um, and then we just went into the session, which I'm blending Michael Singer's stuff with Lester Levinson's stuff with
Mm-hmm.
Hale Dwoskin and the Sedona method because he's evolved Lester's stuff over the years. So I was really blending all of those, and we started um, with welcoming what was there, right? Just trying to find some relaxation around all of the swirl of these feelings and going into your body and being aware of the sensations and being aware of the contraction that was there. um, so we did some work just to kind of open that space up, and then I added in, and this to me is really Michael Singer, added in this piece of creating some space around that,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that that is not the only thing that is going on in your experience. So, feeling the tips of your toes and noticing they are not part of that contraction or the top of your head. So, recognizing and kind of opening your focus to, oh, um, there's other stuff going on here too. And I'm not 100% sure, but since we're sitting here in this beautiful outdoor setting, um, like I can hear the birds right now. And so I might have actually opened the focus into, and there are birds and you can feel the breeze. And I think that's part of it is when you're upset, the focus, the whole world becomes this distress.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something powerful about recognizing and stepping back away from it and going, oh, wait a minute, I can be conscious of all this other stuff, not just this one point. So we did that. And then we had the want, which I believe we started with I want my parents to want to support me. And we got clear, okay, noticing the contraction that's around that. And then we went into, in my mind, what very much is Lester Levinson, and we did a letting go around that. Is could you let this contraction, this wanting go? And we had clarified before then that wanting is not having,
Mm-hmm.
and that clinging.
Yes, that is so crucial.
It's
Wanting is not having.
right. It's funny that we're confused about that, but we are,
We are.
right?
Yeah, and it is helped to have it as a constant reminder.
Right. So we had already clarified wanting is not having. So it's like, could you let go of this wanting? and you said yes, and then uh
You asked
right,
when.
could you, and then would you, and
Would
then
you?
when,
Yeah.
right? And I know the second round, I don't remember what the want had shifted to, but I know that I asked, could you, right? Because we went through that and you released on that, and then we just go back to the situation and what's there now.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a want that was there. And I remember initially asking you, could you? And your response was no,
No.
whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we just, okay, that's fine. There's a no there. Can we make some space around that? Can we notice that contraction? Right. And then we shifted
It
into,
morphed.
right. It morphed, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, I could let go of this.
Well, it morphed into Nathan,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
I got clear. I got clear that it wasn't actually about that thing. It was something else. And so I think this is how I remember it, even though I barely remember this.
Yeah.
It morphed. I do have a memory of being like, oh, it's shifted. It's very much not this. That
Yeah.
was hiding this other thing. It's this now. And and I feel like I've done enough work to understand the difference between distraction and truth.
Right.
And so yeah, so it shifted into that issue with Nathan, and then we went through it again, and it was just I was very clear, very fast
Yeah.
that wanting is not having. Can I make space for it? Can I let it go? And like by the time you got to when, it was like, yeah, it's
It's
gone.
already
And it
gone.
was gone.
Yeah.
And it was so gone that when I got here today and you were asking me about it, I could not remember what we had even talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to say that it's not been rainbows for the last 2 weeks. There's still been like challenges, but a lot of those challenges have been just me being really clear on
I think they're more
my,
real challenges.
yeah, they're very real challenges. They're more be me being clear on how like, okay, I'm making different choices. I'm not trapped.
Right.
I I have to make some choices. I have to make some decisions and I have to move things. I have to control what I can control
Yeah.
versus feeling trapped and having this like make believe storm
Right.
of rumination and trying to control everything else. It was like, okay, this is like these are real problems that have real solutions
Right.
that I
Right.
can control
Right.
and I get to
That
make
I can
choices
move
about.
through.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's one of the things that in the Sedona method they talk about, having a journal and recording your gains. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's for this very reason that um, it would be easy. So in my experience with EMDR, when somebody really processes something all the way through, it's just like what you're experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's like I don't even understand why that was a big deal. I don't even remember what was going on there, because you really have moved. If it's childhood related stuff, you've moved it into the memory bank where it belonged to begin with, right? Which is, it should be in the way back of the warehouse, right? But it's
Uh-huh.
been kept in the front office because some part of you thought it was serving you.
Yeah.
And when you work it through, and now it's back in the back of the warehouse because it was something from when you were
Mhm.
3 or 5 or 10 or whatever, it's like you can't remember barely anything,
Yeah.
right? And if
Yeah.
it's younger than 5, you probably can't remember it at all. And so my experience over 20 years as a psychotherapist is when something is really thoroughly processed, that's what happens. Is it's like, God, I don't even remember it. um
And I think that is was many of my experiences with you in therapy
mhm.
because I can honor what an incredibly hard journey it was, but it's also hard for me to remember what a hard journey it was. Like I have to
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that it was a very, very challenging thing.
Yeah.
And then I have to also honor that it was a very challenging thing because now I look back, I'm like, that's nothing to be scared of. It's just a feeling.
Right.
It's just a
Right.
memory.
Right. Right.
None of it's real.
Right.
But at the time, it was very, very scary and it
Yeah.
was very, very real.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to say this earlier, like I'm starting to get an idea of how these work together because I have a fast pass to my trauma origins for my feelings because of all the work we've done together. Like I can get there
Mm-hmm.
so fast. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very in tune with my anxiety responses. I'm very in tune with my triggers. I know what I need to do. I don't always do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I love this as like Michael Singer and the method that you are working and creating. I like it as maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
really good maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even all of the like maintenance stuff we've done together, I don't think anything has been so just poof
Right.
as this.
Right. 100%. That's my experience. That's what
And
has me so excited.
yeah, because we've been doing maintenance and we've been like trying like as we've been working on these different processes and working on different stuff and doing our different like we haven't been stagnant. We've been exploring different things
But I don't
and
think any of it has moved. I
nothing's been like this.
right, right.
Yeah.
I think there's something here that's my sense in myself is that, you know, there are some things that just for whatever reason they're not. I think maybe there's something about, like, say you do some inner child work. Oh, this is 5-year-old me, and I take care of her, and I listen to her, and I let her go play, and then I come back to my adult life, and and like you're doing that to manage upsets. But there is something in that. I mean, I've definitely had things over the years where I've done some inner child work, and that thing doesn't come back again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that depending, maybe it's I don't know what it is. I think that maybe you don't hit the taproot,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
core, I'm working on something that happened at 6 years old, and the taproot is really something that happened at 5. I'm not really sure. Because I've definitely had that experience with EMDR. We can be hitting around the problem, and then we finally find the core memory that kind of everything else is hanging off of, and we hit that memory and it all dissolves. And I suspect that like if you think about that idea of like a root system, I wonder if like last a couple of weeks ago, right, that we had already done a lot of pruning and trimming, right? There's a lot that's already gone, but there are
Mm-hmm.
pieces that are left behind, right? And so a piece was up and running. And there's something about not trying to figure out where it came from, not worrying about the story,
That
right?
actually, there was no anxiety response to like that portion of therapy was always really challenging for me
Mm-hmm.
because I have this whole like, oh, I have to do it right for Katty. I have to
Yeah.
figure this out. Okay, okay. What is the oh no, that's anxiety. Damn it. I can't get the feeling. I can't get the feeling. I can't. There was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
performance anxiety involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because no, I think I still have had residual performance anxiety
Mm-hmm.
over the years. Yeah, there was something about this that didn't have that element of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it, because there's no pressure to
Mm-hmm.
figure anything out.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no pressure to do anything any particular way. And so it may go underneath that performance anxiety
Mm-hmm.
just by that very nature,
Mm-hmm.
that it's just working with what's present. But I'm believing my theory is that the fact that you don't have to find the right, air quotes, right memory. Um, you don't have to find the right age. You're just dealing with what is 100% present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no pressure, right, in
Mm-hmm.
that, because it's whatever's here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you just allow yourself to be present with whatever's here. And if you can let it go, great. If you can't, we can be okay with that. And there's something about that I kind of think it gets a laser, because whatever's being activated is whatever's being activated. And so if you work with what's activated, by definition, when you let it go, you are letting go like a laser beam to that thing,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of its origin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be part of um, what is easier is you're not having to figure anything out. And I don't know that I don't think Lester talked at all about that. Um, but I'm not sure. But I know that Michael Singer talked about like, don't even go there, right? In the let go or fall down, something like that. In that chapter, he's very much like, just don't let it bloom, like catch it as quickly as you can and let it
Mm-hmm.
go, because otherwise it blooms into, all your rumination, and I'm not good enough, and da 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 da, and oh, this must
Mm-hmm.
be my 5-year old, and now you're struggling in it. And he would say, like, just allow it, don't struggle with it, just allow it,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll move through. um and so I think there's something about, there's not really a cognitive process. That might actually be,
Uh-huh.
there's no cognitive process.
I would like to see how this works on someone like Nathan, who is so in his own head.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and who like has done is doing some pretty good therapy work too.
Hmm.
Um, and then it would be fun to see how it works on someone even more removed from therapy.
It's worked well on Jim.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's been helpful for him. But I haven't done anything actually facilitated with him.
Uh-huh.
I've just done, I've just let him use my meditations. I've just sent him my meditations, and he's found them to be helpful. Um, Yeah, so it would be interesting, like somebody like Nathan that has no exposure to all the things I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
other than to the extent that you've shared. It'd be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um,
Let's schedule that.
all right. Yeah, so I suppose what I want to say about that session is, so it was about 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
At the end of that 15 minutes, it just, like, my recollection of you was, it's like it just wasn't, like there was just clarity, like the storm
Mm-hmm.
had come through, the sun wasn't shining, there's big storm clouds, thunder, lightning, right? And we do
Mm-hmm.
this for 15 minutes, and you're able to let it go, and really grab and let go of those things that were really key for you. And the storm just cleared,
Mm-hmm.
and the sun was shining again. And
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, and I think this is actually really important. It wasn't like easy street to go
mhm,
back into work the next day.
mhm.
There's still elements of my job that and my choices I had to make around it that were challenging for me.
Yeah.
But again, they weren't based on this stuck, ruminating,
Right. The trauma trigger is
trapped
gone.
trauma trigger. That was all gone.
Right. So it doesn't, yeah. And I think you're right.
Yeah,
That's
it
a good,
there's no rose-colored glasses
right.
situation.
Right. Right. It's not going to make a job you don't enjoy enjoyable.
Unless you don't enjoy it because you're stuck in your own head.
Right.
But it's a
Right.
job that I genuinely don't enjoy, and it's not what I see myself doing for the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that makes sense. You're still, I mean, this is something that's important, is that, it's really, it's really a practice around, you're still going to have your preferences. You are still you. You could let go on lots of things. You could release, in Michael's way, on lots of things. My guess at this point, given what I know now, is that it doesn't change the being that is you, that has its likes and dislikes, that, prefers a sunny vacation in Mexico over, you know, climbing Mount Everest, right? I mean, if you have a preference for Mount Everest, you're still going to have a preference for Mount Everest. Or if you have a preference for Mexico, you're still going to have that preference. I don't think it changes those types of things. But what it can change is all of the anxious, clinging, grasping shoulds and shouldn'ts, and
Because you're trying to contort yourself into someone who does like Everest
right,
when you don't like Everest.
right, right. Or needing to have it a certain way. The only way I can be happy, the only way I can be comfortable, the only way I can relax is if the world is like this. That's what
Mhm.
Lester very much said. You need to want to have your peace more than you want the world to be the way it is. Right. And so very much if I can be happy, um, if I can find my happiness, I would say he would say, even in the context of your job, if you can be happy despite the fact that you're going to a job that doesn't thrill you,
Mhm.
right? He would say then you fully let go.
And see, I think that's kind of where I got to
Hmm.
is I was leaving work every day just exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was bringing so much work home with me, and I had this whole story around my own performance goal that I had created for myself that was not something that needed to happen at all. And it was
Yeah.
causing me so much pain and so much suffering. And it was my attachment to it that was doing all of this. And so by being able to release all of that, like I am able to go into work every day and not be attached. And I come home with the energy I need to show up for my family the way I need to show up for my family instead of using all of that at work. So I have nothing left for when I get home. And it helped me get really clear on how much this is not the job for me
Yeah.
because I just have no desire for it.
Hmm.
I was driving myself to have a desire for something that I did not have a desire for.
Right. Yeah, totally neglecting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that whole storm was pushing you into that contortionist
Mm-hmm.
position, right? Without the storm, then it's like I can go in, I can enjoy these people, and I can know that, yeah, this is not my preference,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you can talk a little bit now then about how do you know the difference between genuine letting go, like what you did 2 weeks ago, versus avoidance, right? How do you know that it's different? Because you said, yeah, I spent my
Yeah.
whole younger life letting go, let
Uh-huh.
God,
Uh-huh.
and all I was doing was running away from
Yep.
myself.
Yep. Because it comes back. It's I don't know, you can bury your shit, the smell's gonna come up. It just keeps coming back.
Can you give an example of coming back? Like, so how would
Um,
somebody, if they're listening to this, how would they go, oh, I'm doing what Charity used to do? How would they know that?
I got really good at telling myself that I was a very carefree, easygoing person who didn't have stress.
Mm-hmm.
And I traveled a lot as a way to both experience the world, which it was a wonderful experience for me, but also as a way to like run away from a lot that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to face. A lot of my feelings that were just way too big and scary for me. And I was blind to that fact. Absolutely had no idea that that's what I was doing. And I remember having a lot of money stresses. I
Mm-hmm.
was unemployed and I was collecting unemployment and I was couch surfing and just out in the world telling myself that I was just this exciting traveler person. Finances be damned. Money's just energy. It'll come and go. If I need it, I'll have it. And if I don't, I won't. And all of these stories very much served me. But underneath them all was this thread of stress. There was so much stress
Mm-hmm.
about money. Every time I would go to use my debit card, every time, was there going to be money there? I had no idea. I was not doing any of the adult things you need to do to manage your money. I wasn't checking my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Like not looking at it was my solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it caused so much pain and anxiety to me because I refused to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because I was letting go. I don't need to have money attachments. And I feel like it's like a kind of like a a wildly extreme example, but
But it's a good, it's like, so this is a rationalization.
it was my rationalization around it. Yeah,
You
because
don't have to look at this.
I don't have to, and it's a really good, yeah, I guess it's a good like real world example that makes a lot of sense. Um, and it wasn't until I mean, I remember I had a credit card that was maxed out at $2,000 that I was paying 16% on for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Like what? And
Yeah.
everybody was like, just pay off your credit card bill.
Yeah.
Next time you get your, tax return, just
Mm-hmm.
pay off your credit card. Oh, I can't be bothered. What if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? I'd way rather spend the money on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was so
Not
hell
realizing that you
bent.
are spending, what did you spend? Four
Oh
thousand
my
dollars to
gosh.
borrow that
Hey,
$2,000.
so much money. And I was so hell bent on living in the moment and being present and not worrying about things because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. All I have is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I come off sounding like, what's the tone I'm using for that? Almost like I'm making fun of it. And it is a great way to be in the
Yeah.
world.
Condescending.
Yeah, I sound and I because it's a slice of it, right?
Yeah.
I still had to check my bank account.
Yeah.
I still had to make sure that there was enough money in there so that I didn't have that stress about money that was hanging over me all the time. And
Yeah.
instead of managing the stress about money, I hid from it behind the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And it was always there.
Yeah.
There was always this thread
Yeah.
of money stress. I remember finally getting around. I think it was through our work together. I finally started budgeting. I created my first budget, and I'm in my late mid 30s at this point, and I create my very first budget, and I am tracking what's coming in and what's going out, and I'm looking at my bank account, and I know how much money is in there, and I go to use my debit card, and that familiar feeling that I'm now becoming aware of because of the work that we're doing together of like, is this going to go through?
Yeah.
Even though I know how much money is in there.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a solid 3 years before that stopped happening.
Yeah.
It was such a constant companion to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That your body would just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a trauma, right?
Yeah. Just a
Uh,
constant trauma response to money.
yeah. So if it keeps, so in your example, right? If the same feelings keep showing up, then clearly
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm. I was letting
Right.
go. I was
Right.
doing a great job of letting go.
Right. Right.
Every time it would show up, I would let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Let it go.
Right. But clearly it's sticking to you. And this, yeah,
Like
it's,
I can read this book with
yeah.
two viewpoints. I can read The Untethered Soul from the eyes of my 29-year-old self,
Yeah.
of my 30-year-old self,
Yeah.
and see all the parts of the book that I would be like, oh, I'm just like this. Yes, these are the things I need to work on. Like, how many times before we actually go to therapy, before we actually do the work, do we say to ourselves, like, next time I'm going to be different?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that the same next time. And for me, that was it. That was the end of the story. Next time I'm going to be different. And one of the things I learned in therapy is that next time I'm going to be different because next time I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I would actually
Having a
have a
plan.
And I had a plan for when my plan didn't go through.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, okay, I didn't do the thing I was going to do. So now I have to go back and I have to acknowledge that I didn't do the thing I was going to do and that I should have done the thing that I wanted to do. And it was always about reiterating what my plan is. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually over time, it did become habit and I was able to catch myself before. I mean, first I would have to go back and apologize. And then I would catch myself in the moment. I have to like slam my hand over my mouth and apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I was able to notice what was going to happen. I was able to stop it
Yeah.
and choose a kinder alternate path.
Yeah.
And that knowing that you have agency over the things that you actually have agency over and doing something about it, I think that's where the real freedom lies. Is knowing that you get to control You get to control how often you look at your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to control how much your paycheck is necessarily, unless you want to go after a different job that will make you more
Mm-hmm.
money, then you do get to control that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was just under being able to understand what I actually do get to control versus what I don't get to control.
Right. Serenity prayer.
Yeah, and again, I was raised with the serenity prayer.
Yeah.
I was raised with let go and let God, like all of that stuff. And I thought I was doing all of that.
Yeah.
I was really clear with myself. These are the things that I am doing right.
Yeah.
If you had asked me back then, do you live your life like this? Give me this book. And we're like, hey, do you live your life like the entire soul? 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And all on the surface.
All on the surface.
Yeah.
No depth.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like that. So one guideline would be, yeah, if your thing keeps coming up again and again and again, maybe you need some help,
Mm-hmm.
right? To figure out
Mm-hmm.
what is really behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need some support to dig a little deeper.
But I think there is a certain self-awareness that you have to have too,
Mm-hmm.
to notice that the same thing keeps coming up again and
Yeah.
again and again.
Yeah. And I like you said this earlier before we started recording, the let go and let God. You said, yeah, it's a little bit like the guy who wants to win the lottery and never buys a ticket,
Mm-hmm.
right? That like when if you talk about releasing around money, it's like, you had your example of, yeah, I would let go.
And then it would just come back up.
Right, but I never really bought the ticket.
Nope.
Um,
I
right,
never did the work around how to not have money stress.
right,
And to go even deeper, I never did the work around why do I hide from stress rather than doing something about it.
right, right, right.
Why do I pretend? Why do I tell this story of my life is all sunshine and roses?
Right. And I deny, right? So there's denial operating there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm stressed out every time I go
Mm-hmm.
to get
Yes.
money out of the ATM.
Deny that that is happening.
Right? I'm ignoring that piece of it. Yeah.
I
So
remember so clearly, I'm so broke. I'm so broke. And I'm at like, it's like the Esalen, but of New York. I forget what it's
hmm
called. And I'm at this retreat, uh, and we're doing this like angel, those angel cards? It's
like tarot cards
but they're
or
angel
yeah.
cards. And they do this angel card thing, and they give me mine, and mine is about a guardian for stress,
Yeah.
specifically money stress. And the woman I'm with is like, "You don't have any money stress."
Yeah.
And she was so baffled, and I was like, "I know, this is so not accurate for me." And also, I have like no money.
Yeah.
I am so, so, so broke
Yeah.
with my $2,000 credit card debt that I just can't get out from under.
Right, right, right. Yeah. So, and that's the tricky thing in terms of, figuring out whether or not this process is working for you is that we're such complicated beings. And so you can totally, like you think it's working for you and really believe your own bullshit
Uh-huh.
and have absolutely no awareness of that which you are hiding from. And so that I suppose is just part of the funhouse mirror part of life, right? Is that you don't always know. And that
Which is
again,
why I think it's so helpful as maintenance.
yeah, yeah.
Because I am so, most of the time, I'm so clear
Yeah.
of like where I need to go,
Yeah.
or at least near enough it that we can find it quickly.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think it was, yeah, I have, what is it now? 9 years?
No idea.
9 years of practice under me.
Yeah.
We started working together in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, 2017. That'd be 2017. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
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 So yeah, 9 years of
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, having help rarely hurts. Well,
The right help.
Having the right help never hurts.
Right. Well,
I think that's the tricky part.
yeah,
Yes.
finding the right help.
Finding the right help. And that's actually something where only you can decide what the right help is for you. If you feel like positive change is happening in your life, you're learning something about yourself, you're getting something out of every meeting, you're finding some sort of clarity, um, then fantastic. Um,
I also don't think there's an easy way out.
yeah,
No mud, no lotus. Like,
yeah,
attachment is the cause of all suffering. Like, suffering is the key to people don't change until stuff gets hard. Like,
right, right,
it, there's all these cliches and all of these sayings, and
yeah,
it doesn't matter what culture you're in, they have one.
yeah.
I don't think can you think of a single cliche or a single saying that's like, my life was so great that I decided to completely upend it and now it's even better? Like,
Yeah.
no one says that.
Right? Because nobody does that. Yeah. 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 Right? You needed to fall apart for it to come back together.
Yeah, like
Uh,
was there a different way for it to go for me? I don't know. I feel like I had to hit my bottom,
yeah.
and everybody's bottom is different.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes how it's going to go. Um, I really believe that life is very much like dominoes falling. And this one hits that one and that one hits the other. And so I'm at this point, I'm very much a believer that woulda, shoulda, coulda is a waste of time, because I believe we are always doing the best that we know how, even when that is not very good, at every moment in time. When we are denying, it's because that is just how things are going. We're accepting, it's because that's just how things are going. That the idea that we could have made a different choice and had a completely different life, I just don't buy it. I think if you ran, it's kind of like running a simulation. If you ran the simulation a million times, but with all the same variables, it's all going to go the same. Of course, chaos theory, you alter one little thing and you can end up with hugely different outcomes. But that would require altering something, right? So with nothing altered, will it all turn out the same way? I think it actually, there's no reason to think that it wouldn't. Um, right? All things being equal, we will get the same result. And so part of that is just really honoring the younger me that made the choices that she or he made, um, and that they were truly doing the best that they knew how. Again, even when it really wasn't that good.
Maybe maybe this is attachment, but I think about everything that everything that had to happen the way it had to happen so that I would walk into your office.
Yeah.
So that your office would be there.
Yeah.
So that your husband would die and I would reach back out to you. Like, there's a lot of horrible stuff that happened to make all of those things come together.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of great too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no, I don't know. For me, it had to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, I have no alternate life to compare it to.
Right. It's not a thing. Or maybe it is, but we won't get to know until we're on the other side of whatever this is. Um, so I think we hit all of the points that we wanted to hit, right? And the idea that this is a practice, it's just a new way to relate to life, to experience. Instead of holding on, to learn to let go, instead of closing down, to learn to open up.
And I think it is a methodology for letting go.
Yeah.
Versus just, oh, let go.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, like that's how I was raised. Oh, just let that go. Just let that go.
Which isn't that is.
So I just buried and buried and buried.
Right. You just, that's actually a great point. I'm glad that you brought that up. Oh, just let go is just distract. Right. That is not really where this is really a very deliberate process to let go. So I'm thinking we can end with just a short letting go. of
Okay.
whatever you might want to let go of. So just picking anything in your experience that might be causing you a little bit of stress or distress.
Oh, let's do my kid's mom.
Well, so I'm gonna actually just not gonna interact.
Oh, we're not going to
So
interact.
you can
Okay.
you can do that.
Excellent.
And I'm just gonna lead the process. Um, yeah, so getting clear on what it is that you want to work on and just noticing what happens in your body as you get clear. How are you feeling about that particular thing? As you notice the sensations in your body and the emotions that go along with it, just taking a moment to open up and notice the rest of the space in your body. Noticing that not everything is involved in this contraction. There's more than that going on in life. And maybe noticing that there are sounds going on in your environment. Or if you're sitting outside, you might notice the breeze. You might notice your clothes and how they're touching your body, the temperature on your skin. Just noticing there's this contraction, this feeling in your body. It's uncomfortable. But that there's so much more here than just that. And now trying to get clear on what's the want that's going on inside of you. And is that want about control, safety? Maybe that want is about getting love or approval. And as you clarify what your want is, really notice how that want feels in your body. And asking yourself, does this want get me what I actually want? Just noticing that the wanting is not the having. That the wanting is really clinging or grasping rather than some positive force that brings what you want to you. And so asking yourself, could I let this want go? Would I let this want go? When? And if the answer was no, and there's stuckness, remembering to just go ahead and allow the stuckness, welcome the stuckness in. If you got some movement, in both cases, we'll go back to the thing, whatever it was. And finding the want underneath, seeing if it's the same or maybe it's shifted. Questioning if that want is really getting you what it is that you want, or if it's just clinging. And asking, could I let this go? Would I let this go? Just for now. Just a little bit if that's what you can do. And when. And taking a deep breath in. And letting it out. And there you go. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. If not, try a different recording. Try something else. And actually, I'm going to check in with you. Was that helpful?
It was.
Awesome. All right. I was going to say, because if it wasn't, we would do a personal one that you got there. All right. So if anybody listened to this, thanks for tuning in. Take care.